Christ, our Passover. Tonight's reading is Exodus 12, verse 13. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. I love the Passover story. I love the entire Exodus story. A lot of my favorite theologians and pastors have said that functionally the Bible is just a rehashing and a retelling and a repackaging of the Exodus story over and over and over and over again, both as a precursor to this all the way to Adam to Moses, and then Moses to the end of the Old Testament, and then the New Testament is just a rehashing of the Exodus story in various forms and fashions. Something I think a lot of people enjoy about the Exodus story is it's very visual. It's very intense. You can see it, you can track it. There's not much theoretically happening in the book. It is the narrative of the Hebrew people and their escape from Egypt. One of the few movies that I've seen but I really like is The Prince of Egypt. And the reason I like it is I think they bring a lot of that emotional, a lot of that passion, a lot of the intensity of the story that I think we can miss if we're just kind of stuck in the children's Sunday school version of this story. They bring it to light, the drama that's occurring in the Exodus. And of course, it climaxes, its apex hits on the night of the Passover. This last warning of the 10 plagues that the firstborn of every person, every animal is going to die unless they are covered by a house that has a blood of a lamb sprinkled over its post. And of course, we can now move into the deep, rich ingraining of Christ all over the Exodus story. But I want to specifically focus on just the Passover tonight. What do we see occurring in the Passover in just chapter 12? I'll let you read chapter 12 to be a blessing to yourself, but once you see him in these texts, you can't unsee the Christ in these texts. It's his word, and it's quite amazing. Let's just start with the basics. So a spotless lamb, unblemished lamb has to be sacrificed in order to cover the firstborn. This is a substitutionary sacrifice that's offered by an animal that has done no wrong. It's innocent. It's young. And there is an exchange happening. This firstborn being sacrificed, or the option of a firstborn, you die for being a firstborn, or you sacrifice a lamb in its place. And those of us who have our first birth in Adam, in sin, in death, we have to be covered by something else. We have to be covered over our doorpost, the entryway to our life. Our door, Christ, is covered in blood. And if we're taking refuge in that door, in that pathway, in his blood, the destroyer will look at it and he has no right to enter. He has no power to enter under the blood of the Lamb. It's simply incredible. The blood shields them not only from the wrath, but it's also a marker for them to know that they have taken refuge in the Christ. Something else I enjoyed talking about this is that it's not just the blood. It's easy to think of the blood as a portion of what the lamb offered. But the lamb is also offered its body. It's consumed that night, and it's consumed fully. The intent is a family, a community, a household all consumes this lamb until they're full, because it's meant to be a sustenance to hold them over on their exodus, on their exit. In the story, of course, they're dressed in their sandals and they have their walking sticks and their staffs. And the intent of that is when you begin to consume the lamb, you're going to escape wherever you're at, and you need to be prepared for that. Which moves me into this idea of Christ being a greater exodus portion of the Passover as well. So what were the Hebrews escaping? Well, they're escaping slavery, death, and the tyranny of Pharaoh. And we have this greater example of this, in that We are escaping the death of our souls. We're escaping the slavery to sin. We're escaping the tyranny of the devil through which Christ is providing for us in this beautiful crossover. So not only does he sustain us, he sustains us so that we can escape. By keeping our eyes on the cross, our trust in Yahweh, we are able to escape and sustain and break away from these things that have kept us captured. This fear of death, of slavery, and of tyranny, Christ frees us from it. Something else that's mentioned in chapter 12 is that when they're escaping, this is the start of a new calendar for them. This Exodus marks the beginning of the Hebrew calendar. And for us, this kind of our conversion, our escape, our Passover, when Christ has covered us and we are moving away from death, slavery, and tyranny, it's a new calendar for us as well. That's the beginning of our lives because it's a new creation. And echoing kind of back over the past 2,000 years, our calendar shifted too whenever Christ lived, died, resurrected. The world now falls into before Christ and after Christ, before the event of him and after the event of him, basically before the Passover and after the Passover that we have in Jesus Christ. I think actually in Luke, there's a discussion taking place on the Transfiguration, so chapter 9, of Jesus talking with Moses. And Moses is discussing with Jesus his departure out of Jerusalem, his exodus out of Jerusalem, and what that's going to look like. That's one of the questions that I have when I get to heaven is, what did that conversation really look like in terms of just these layers of depth of the exodus of Christ out of Jerusalem? And finally, my closing point is, I don't want people to think, well, Jesus is like the Passover. No, Jesus is our Passover. He is the lamb. He is the preparation. He is the sustainment. He is the change in our life. He is the new calendar. He is the new conversion. He is the new experience. He is all of these things to us. He's not like them. He is them. He's the fulfillment of them. He's the sustenance from the shadow. And so as you read through Exodus, if you start a Bible reading plan next year and you're reading through these, what I'd really like you to do at the end of every chapter is stop and say, there was Christ, there was Christ, there was Christ. It's such an amazing walkthrough to see the transcendent nature of Christ laid out across the ink in your Bible, to know that he was in mind while these things were being written, because it's his word. So on that, know that Christ is your Passover. He's here with you, and he will see you through the Exodus to the end. God bless you.